Sophie, we're going to be talking about our predictions for paid social in 2023, which I think is always really interesting because so much changes. It's part taking learnings from the year before, part kind of knowing where the platform's going, and part just, who knows?
Yeah.
So I guess a really good place to start is key learnings from last year.
Yeah.
So what were the main standout things for you as we moved through 2022 on paid social? What do you think the big things were?
Well, I think at the beginning of 2022, everyone was still really adjusting to post-iOS changes, kind of finding a new way of working around those things. And I think something that is going to roll over from 2022 into 2023 is targeting. Like Meta is a different space now for finding your audiences. And I think everyone spent 2022 adjusting to that, figuring out a way to make that work for them. And I think in 2023, we're going to see some really interesting stuff come off the back of that when people have now kind of relaxed into this more broader way of targeting, this less kind of like interest focused and kind of allowing Meta to kind of use the tools that it has to find audiences for you. Yeah,
definitely. It's about being far less prescriptive last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
I think if you rewind the clock quite a number of years, you could be really prescriptive with how you were setting up your audiences.
Yeah.
I want to target men in their 30s who drive Audis and like playing cricket at the weekends.
Yeah.
That just, it's been a while since that's worked, really. But last year, even more so, if you're too granular and too specific, it just doesn't work. And
I think that was a huge adjustment for everyone in 2022 because, like you say, like it's been changing for a while, but I think 2022 was the year where we really sort of saw all of that specific targeting go. Anything remaining is sort of, there's a few bits lingering, but pretty much you've got to be broad, you've got to be dynamic, you've got to use things like dynamic creative where you can test more, test creatives against headlines, against copy. And you've got to find your audiences that way.
Definitely.
And it's definitely more about discovery than it is about going in with an idea of who your audience is.
So, going too granular, the whole thing just tends to not work. And what I guess what I'm hearing and also what I'm seeing from the work that you guys did last year is about it's about letting the pixel and the Facebook algorithm work out who it's best to target. Is that broadly right?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's going to be a year of like exciting testing. I think now that everyone has an understanding and has kind of got comfortable with it, I think it's going to be a really exciting year of figuring out audiences, testing this new broad approach even more. But I think 2022 was definitely the learning year, and this year is to kind of put things into practice.
It definitely felt like the year that a lot of people worked out how to use the platform to its best post iOS.
Yeah, 100% definitely agree.
Which is really cool, isn't it? I think a big part of the game with performance marketing on social last year and moving into this year as well is it's not so much about the mechanics of loading in a specific audience and loading in this and that and the other. It's about understanding how the platform's changing and how to maximize it and play to its strengths whilst not giving over complete control and losing control over what you're doing. It's that fine balance and understanding that I think is the job now.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with a fine balance. We've definitely seen also with this new meta and this new way of targeting people that you can't just set an audience live and let it run. I think there's a lot more like nitty gritty, keeping a really close eye on things. You know, there used to be a time where you could just set an audience live and pretty much trust that if it worked well, it would keep working.
Yes.
Whereas now it's a lot more, you've got to be a lot more proactive in the account.
Yeah.
To, you know, find audiences and then keep them working.
Definitely.
And if you don't see them working, changing things up.
There was a really good episode that we did together last year about, we'll put it in the notes. It was about account turnarounds. And you mentioned that as being the thing.
Yeah.
And how it's such a weird thing to say out loud, isn't it? Automation. You know, the best way to work on meta ads now is to let the algorithm figure out the audiences. However, you've got to be in there all the time, tweaking it, adjusting it, testing new creative.
Yeah.
It's a lot more hands-on, but in some respects, a lot more hands-off. It's a weird balance, isn't it? So what do you think about 2023? Because a lot of that will continue, I imagine. What would be your biggest prediction for the year?
So I think my biggest prediction for the year is going to be a lot of diversification of social platforms. I think Meta has been the king for a really long time. And I think it still will continue to be. But we've seen huge changes in 2022 with platforms like TikTok.
Yep.
Not only have they become like a huge like juggernaut of content creation, but we've seen a trickle down effect of the way people advertise and create content on platforms like TikTok has leaked down into places like Meta. We've seen Instagram do a huge push for Reels. And I think that has completely changed the way people advertise, completely changed the way people think about using other platforms. And I think we're going to continue to see that happen in 2023, where people are just going to be, they're not just going to stick to Facebook and Instagram, and they're going to be more diverse with their advertising.
Yeah, I think the TikTok self-service ad platform will get better this year.
Yes,
I think that'll definitely be a thing. I think the diversification point is massive. I would say, like, do not hire an agency to work on one platform now. Like, you have to be able to move budget around. If Meta ads isn't working for you at the top funnel, but search is, do that. If search isn't, but Meta is, do that. And I think you have to, like, I think anyway, our job as a performance marketing agency is to put the money in the best place for the best performance for the long term. We can't do that if we're just doing one platform. And I think the ability to diversify and move money around is a really big thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as an agency, we were actually talking about this earlier today as a team, we've got to be, like you said, proactive about suggesting different platforms and being well versed in different platforms, because I think clients will want, I mean, the number one question we got asked in Q3 and Q4 was, can we do TikTok? Like almost every client across the board. And I think that's going to continue, and we might see new platforms become the front runners for advertising. And as an agency, we've got to be prepared to say, we can do this, or even suggest to our clients, like, they come in and they want to do Facebook and Instagram, and we say, actually, is that the best way for you to advertise? It's not a given anymore that's going to be the ultimate best platform for you. Because there's platforms that are now becoming on par with Meta ads.
I think, absolutely agree with that. And I think to follow on from that point, I'd say my biggest prediction is that acquiring traffic at the top of the funnel, that then, like, good traffic at the top of the funnel is harder than it ever has been. And you have to be smarter. It's not impossible, but you have to be smarter. So where do those new people go? What's that experience? How do you hook them in? How do you nurture them to a purchase? I think the days of running ads at the top funnel and not considering that entire journey for most companies are over, you know, and you have to be really smart with how you're acquiring that traffic and nurturing it through. So I think that's going to be a key trend. Like if you want to profitably run top of funnel ads, you've got to really think about that. Whatever platform you're on, and it's got to be the best fit for you. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. And I think there's going to be sort of alongside that point about a sort of diversification in social platforms, there's also going to be a lot of scrutiny, I think, on social platforms.
You mentioned this before we started, didn't you? And I think I hadn't thought about this in the context of what we do as a prediction for the year, but I think you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah. I think, you know, sort of towards the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, we saw on Twitter, as an example, Elon Musk removed the Trust and Safety Council, and immediately users, brands, advertising kind of retreated from the platform because there was a huge element of like scrutiny of, is this platform safe? Is this a safe place to be for brands, for users, for everyone? And I think that spotlight is going, which had already been sort of, there'd been questions around, you know, brand safety and brand reliability, I think all of 2022. But there's going to be a huge scrutiny on the platforms and the brands advertising on those platforms to prove their reliability and their safety again. Because people aren't just as a given saying, we trust this platform. I trust this platform that they're advertising something to me that is reliable, is a good product. And just in general, users of platforms who are not looking to buy things are questioning whether or not they want to put their own content on these platforms. So I think there's going to be a huge piece for brands to go out of their way to prove their reliability to the customer.
And does a brand feel comfortable putting advertising dollars or pounds into a particular platform? And I think that was a big thing with the whole Elon Musk Twitter debacle. A lot of brands pulled their advertising spend out. And all your points around safety, trust are so valid, but also just we fundamentally disagree. Not every brand will, but some brands will fundamentally disagree with what's happening here, and we don't want to put our advertising money into it.
100%. There's that side to it as well, where brands will say this doesn't align with our ethos as a brand. We're not giving this platform our money anymore. And I think any platform can so easily come under that scrutiny.
I mean, there's been it's not just last year, is it? Like Facebook had years of PR challenges. YouTube has around kind of approving or not approving or restricting certain content. You know, and I do think it's a healthy discussion to have around, do we believe in the platform? Do we agree with it? Do we feel like it's a safe place for our brand to be? Is it the right place for our brand to be? Is a massive thing. So I think it's that's just a healthy, good discussion, isn't it? Not just, let's go and advertise here because everyone does it. Actually, it might not be the best place for your brand. Might not make you the most money either. And I think being considered with where you advertise is big.
I think that ties into the first point we made as well. I think being super considered about the platform that you pick now is going to be a big thing in 2023 for brands in general.
That's a really good point. And I think it's whatever happens this year, things will change and develop and move forwards because that's the world we live in. And like you say, there could be new platforms emerging. There's a lot that will happen that we don't know will happen at this point. But I think there's a lot of key learnings from last year that can help prepare advertisers for the best approach this year, not next year because we're already in it. So all very interesting stuff.
Really interesting. I think it's going to be an exciting year.
It will be. Cool. All right, Sophie, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed that episode, please do come and subscribe. Join us for future episodes where we talk about the ins and outs of running paid media and driving improved conversions and revenue for your business. See you next time.